Hello. So sorry the angle for this video is so weird. I'm just trying really hard not to dox myself during the last week that I live in New Jersey because all these signs are here. Anyway, I'm gonna start with something semi-fun and then I'm gonna go into not fun stuff. It's taken me an hour to sit down and record this video because I've just been trying to think through the whole topic and figure out what's necessary to share and what's not necessary to share and if I'm gonna cry or not. Like, genuinely, it's really bad. It's really bad. But fun stuff first. Look at this frog. Look at this disappointed man. I literally got him because I'm moving to a new place, like a whole new apartment and everything in a different state. And I wanted somebody to sit on top of my fun shelf in my new office and judge me while I work on comics. And he seemed like the perfect little guy to do it. So I like that he just looks darkly into your soul and says, "Why aren't you drawing? Why are you looking at your phone for the 5th time? You don't need to watch that YouTube video." Ironically, please don't stop watching this video. I'm kidding. Do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But, so that's the fun part out of the way. The long story short, I can save you maybe 20 to 30 minutes in this moment is I've been going to conventions lately to sell my artwork and I've been getting harassed a lot, particularly for being Asian, but also recently for being gay. So that's been really bad. And I've actually been trying to tell organizers of these like different fests and conventions, and they've done nothing. And it's been really bad. And the thing that concerns me most is the fact that, like, it happened to me and it was really shitty. But also in the future, this could happen to literally anybody else as fascism rises and people become more scary and weird to people of color and gay people and trans people particularly. And nobody's going to do anything about it because they're like too afraid to get themselves involved, even though they have their entire staff behind them to do something about it. So to get into more specifics, the first convention, which I can briefly go into, it was a festival in Philadelphia. It was specifically for like trans artists, which I thought was interesting. It was the Trans Art Mart. People kept coming up to my table and asking me if I was my table mate. The thing is, both me and my table mate were Chinese, but we didn't know each other. And not for nothing, it was like an entire 6-foot table that was like split into like the 3-foot increments. I was on one side with my like strawberry tablecloth and my neighbor was on the other side with like just the regular black tablecloth and like their whole setup, which was like a bunch of, you know, the little like panels where you can stack them and then put prints on them and then lean things against them. So our setups were completely different. Our art styles were completely different. Our things that we were selling were completely different. Like they really were, because I was entirely books. This other person was mostly prints and like little ceramic mugs that they made by hand. It was really cute. But people literally would come up to me and be like, "Oh, do you know that person? Are you best friends? Like, are you tabling together? Are you the same table? Like, are you the same person? Like, I know they stepped out for the bathroom, but I'm going to act like you're actually secretly selling their stuff because you're like literally a single entity." And it didn't just happen once. It happened multiple times to the point where like I had to go back to them and be like, "Hey, so like, have you noticed that people keep thinking we're the same guy? Like we're the same little man?" And they're like, "Yeah." I had to tell people multiple times that like, I'm not you and you're not me, and that we're not a couple or friends or anything. Like, not even in a mean, unfriendly way, but just like, we're not the same person. We sell completely different things. And also, I would say at that little like art festival thing, we were one of the only 2 Asian people. I think maybe there were like, maybe if I'm being generous, maybe 2 or 3 other people across the room. But for some reason, maybe not on purpose, maybe on purpose, we got put together. And then people kept acting like, once again, we were the same entity, even though we had separate signage for each table. And like, my face is actually on the back of all my zines for whatever stupid reason. I decided to put my little author picture and then my bio underneath. And it's like, separately also, you can't tell on camera for some reason with my phone. I think it like color balances, whatever, but like, yeah, you really can't tell, but like my skin is very brown in person. Like I look like a brown Asian person. I look about 2 shades darker than most of the other East Asian people I meet. This person had completely different facial structure and like completely different skin tone, completely different like facial features. Like I'm pretty sure they had the monolid and like our mouths were completely different. Like this is so like, I'm breaking it down in the most annoying way possible just to point out the fact that like we are different people. And that sounds so obvious to me. But it really bothered me the entire time that people would come up and ask me weird questions about my name, which is Chinese, like, okay. But then they would continue to be like, "Oh, like, why is your artwork all in English? Like, what's going on with that?" And I would just be like, well, I'm adopted. If you read my bio, it would say so, but also, why does it matter to you? Like, Asian people can be from America. Like, it was really weird. So that went on at that convention, and it did really, like, it bothered me to the point that I was like, I'm not going back there again, because, like, I was so surprised that, like, in Philly, in what is supposedly an art building that's very close to, like, a Cambodian neighborhood and surrounded by other Asian, like, neighborhoods, just in general, like, the people who were coming to this festival were doing this. And very specifically, it was a festival that was marketed as, like, diverse and, like, oh, the inclusion, oh, the, like, oh, pro-Asian, oh, pro-everything, whatever. And, like, meanwhile, the, like, people who were coming to the fest were saying these things to my face. And I just thought it was, like, I still can't really mentally process the fact that, like, somebody literally thought I was a completely different East Asian person just because we were sitting next to each other. Like, we'd somehow, like, asexually reproduced, and we were like clones sitting next to each other when we had completely different haircuts, completely different things we were selling, and we're wearing completely different outfits. Like, I don't understand that. And then, like, 1 or 2 Asian people did come up to my table just to be like, oh yeah, I want to see your art, whatever, cool. And I was like, hi. And, like, it just felt so I felt really out of place in a way that I have not felt out of place since, like, literally maybe middle school. And I was like, once again, I guess I don't really expect better at this point, but it's like, this is a community that's supposed to be like, oh, like, togetherness and unity and harmony and all this stuff. And it's like, this is really, there's a lot occurring. Actually, now that I think of it, I think there might have been somebody who was half white, half Asian sitting next to me at a table where I think they were selling textiles or something. Like, they did fabric kind of medium art stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. And this is like a separate problem. This is not harassment. This was just kind of annoying. They came up to my table mate, gushed about all their stuff, did all this, like, crazy, like, oh, I know you from somewhere, blah, 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 like, really laying it on thick to the point that I was like, okay. And then once they kind of went back to their table, I turned to my table mate. It was like, do you really know that person? And they were like, yeah, we met once. That was kind of weird. And I was like, like, because they were really going in. They're like, oh my God, you're so cool. Oh my God, we have to trade. Oh my God, you're so, like, I was like, okay, well, this has nothing to do with me, clearly, because, like, this person won't even, like, look me in the face and just be like, hi, like, by the way, I see you're sitting next to this other person and whatever, like, hi, like, a regular polite person. I don't know, that was interesting. It's like a whole, like, there's a lot occurring at art fairs. Let me tell you something. I can make a whole series of videos about things that have happened to me at, like art book fairs and, like, Comic Cons and, like, festivals or whatever. It's just so bizarre. So, like, on to the main course of TCAF. So that happened. It's Toronto Comic Arts Festival. It happened this weekend. I took a 14-hour train. Sorry, it was so bad. I took a 14-hour train, like a total commute from New Jersey to Toronto, 14 hours. And it was a giant mess because just, I think everyone knew what we signed up for on the train, but at the same time, we didn't fully understand the weight and impact of what sitting on a train for a full 14 hours meant. So, like, we were all suffering, essentially. It was really bad. I get there through customs, and the Canadian Border Custom Patrol guys were not happy with me because I had my suitcase, and I was kind of confused because I was like, technically I'm here on business, but I guess it could be marked as a vacation because, like, I don't have, like, $1 million worth of stuff. I did the math. I had about 900 Canadian dollars worth of things to, like, bring through, like, comics and zines and everything, because I travel with a carry-on bag. I don't travel with a huge suitcase because I just can't. I have noodles for arms. I'm not buff enough to lift that. So that was a thing. I unzip my bag for them. They take me to the side room, and I'm just sitting there like, okay. And they started laughing in my face. It was, like, a lot. And, like, this isn't the harassment part. Honestly, it was kind of iffy, but it was, like, just funny because they were like, oh, you're really not selling much, huh? You really do not have much. This isn't even worth anything in Canada. Like, you're selling it and you're probably only going to make like $2 Canadian. Like, trust me, like, it doesn't even matter. But they stood there for, like, a solid 15 minutes after my initial coming in there and, like, went and got other Canadian guys, and they brought them in the room and literally pointed and laughed at my suitcase and was like, look, she made this. Look, like, that's, like, her little comics. Like, she made those. Did you know she made those? I was just like, like, it was a lot, like, genuinely, because I think they were trying to figure out, like, actually how much everything was worth and the taxes and the paperwork. And I brought all my paperwork and whatever. And in the middle of this, they start talking about what to eat for lunch. And I'm just standing there like, holy shit, I'm holding up the entire train that's trying to move across the border. genuinely think they kind of forgot that I was even there midway through, because they're like, oh, what do you want for lunch? Like, oh, I go to this place. Oh, I really like the sushi. Oh, but they're like, lunchtime special is over. Oh, but we could get it half off. Haha. And I was just like, can I go, please? Like, actually. And then they had the whole debacle, which is the usual thing where nobody knows how to pronounce my name, and they kept trying to pronounce it in front of me and laughing, and I was just like, okay. Like, I knew this was gonna happen. Like, this is my first time traveling internationally where my name is officially changed to my actual name and not just my American name. Like, okay, fine, like, we're doing this. So that went on at the border, and then they finally let me leave. They're like, get out of here. And I was like, okay. And then, like, I waited for another 10 minutes after that because they said get out of here, laughed, and then left the room. And I was like, okay, so can I leave without getting in trouble, or like, do I actually get out of here? And I flagged down one of the officers, and it was crazy, and not for nothing. I don't know what they're feeding those boys up there, but they all look like cops in gay porn. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, they all literally looked like actors in like BDSM cop porn. It was really crazy. Don't ask me how I know. It's like, what's going on? So that happened. I get through the border, and I'm like, okay, at least it's done. And after 30 to 45 minutes of just people Canadian people, random white Canadian people standing there laughing in my face. And I was just like, okay, whatever, it's fine. At least I got through. Like, that's all that matters. Here comes the main part of the convention that was really a big problem. So I go to this convention, whatever. We're all sitting on the 3rd floor, which is the last floor. It's the very top of the library because it was held in like this big public reference library in Toronto. And it seemed like they put a lot of the Americans at the top. This is just a lucky guess. I have a feeling I could be completely wrong on this because it's not like a big production festival, I don't think. It is like an international festival technically, but it's not like Comic-Con or anything. It's not anything that intense. But it seems like they favor having Canadian artists on the bottom so it's more accessible, so that more people can come and see them, versus on the top where it's like a lot of the Americans, and it's like, not that we're not going to get seen, but it seems like a lot of the traffic on the top is people who are really hardcore invested on seeing everything. So they come up and they're like really intense with the artists, I've noticed. So like, well, I'm about to tell you in a second what I noticed, but like, and experienced. But so I'm on the top with all the other Americans. Funny enough, I also once again got sat next to another Asian American person, somebody who's Korean, named June. She's really nice. Like, it was really funny. We were talking the whole time. She's also, I'm pretty sure, a lesbian, like an Asian lesbian. And we're just sitting there the entire weekend, like, saying stupid shit to each other. It's so funny. But so on the first day, it's only 2 days, but the first day, right in the beginning of the day, some guy comes up to me, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, like, hi. He's just like a random middle-aged, like, he might have been a man of color. I'm pretty sure he was just a white dude. It was very bizarre. He comes up and starts trying to speak Chinese to me. I'm laughing because it was actually very uncomfortable. So he comes up and he's like, oh, hey, like, what comics do you do? Like, this is crazy. Like, oh, what kind of books are these? Like, what is this? And I start being like, well, it's just, some of it's romance, some of it's just about like breakups, some of it's just about like childhood memory stuff. Like, it's a lot of autobiographical stuff. And he sees my name and pronounces it wrong. He's like, that's your name, right? That's your name? And I was like, yeah, that's my name. It's actually like, it's Liu Sing. It's not like Luke Shang or whatever you pronounced it to be. And I was like, okay, like, whatever. Like, you're being kind of a jackass and standing in front of my table and preventing traffic, whatever, what's new. He starts saying ni hao to me, but won't stop until I say it back to him. It's like, actually, now that I talk about it, it was pretty bad. Because he kept being like, oh, yeah, like, Chinese name, like, ni hao, right? Like, ni hao. Like, kept leaning forward and saying ni hao like this. And I was just like, yeah, ni hao, like, cool. I don't even want you to buy my books at this point. I think you're weird, and I don't want you to own something that I made. Like, could you leave me alone? And he just kept going in about the Chinese thing. And I was like, okay, I think I've had enough. And then he starts moving over to my table neighbor and starts picking up her comics. Isn't weirdly like racist to her. I think because she wasn't Chinese, she was just Korean. Not that people can't be racist to Koreans, but you get what I mean. People have a really big bone to pick with China lately, ever since like COVID. Anyway, he also stands in front of her table, flips through all of her books, and then asks her like just unnecessary questions. And it's just like, yeah, like, awesome, yeah, I know artists, I'm friends with all the artists. And I was like, okay, and like moves on. And I was like, oh, what the fuck. So that happened, and I felt really uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, whatever. There was a second thing that happened that I'm really trying to remember, because now I'm caught up in Ni-Hao Man, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, you need to stop. The second thing that I can kind of squish into one interaction, because it happened multiple times, was, and this always happens to me, it's very interesting, there's always at least one or two white butch couples where both of them are like, you know, white butch lesbians, and they're together, and they come over to my table and they say some slick shit to me to my face about my titles or whatever, or about my books, and or they're like, oh, you're so like brave for like writing this stuff and putting it on paper, like, wow. And then they literally it's horrible, they like laugh and walk away and then look at each other like, haha, what a fucking freak. And I'm just standing there like, hey, these books aren't even for you, because as much as you're in a butch relationship, you're not a person of color, and this is specifically for like butch lesbians of color who are in relationships, so like you gotta chill. And the other thing is just like, why are we tearing down, not even like, why are we tearing down other women, like, it's not even, I don't register it as that. It's like, you're almost like, I don't know, like, A, there is like a racist element to it, like, obviously, and then B, it's hard to articulate, but it's straight up just like, it's almost like you're seeing a version of yourself and then acting like it's a big joke. And I'm like, do you see yourself as a joke? What the hell is going on? Or you're like, I know you definitely see me as a joke, which is like, whatever, what am I going to do about it? Also, it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, whatever. It's just really, it's disheartening. Somebody literally, and this butch couple came up at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival or whatever, literally flipped through my books, said, oh, this is a little on the nose, laughed, and then walked away. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean on the nose? Of course it's on the nose. It's literally called a zine that says butches in bed, and then has like butch lesbians who are dating in bed together, just hanging out. Like, of course you, like, it's on the nose. That's the point. Like, what did you think it was? I feel like part of the joke, for me at least, is lesbians are so hypersexualized that you see something like butches in bed and you're like, oh, they're all fucking, like, haha. It's like, no, they're not. They're just hanging out, being people or whatever. Like, anyway, so that happened. And like, at the Philadelphia thing, it happened similarly, where like, this sounds psychotic. Like, it sounds like I'm like a conspiracy theorist, but literally this like white butch couple walked past my table, dead stopped in front of my stuff, looked at my titles, started laughing, and then walked away. And I was just like, like, I'm going insane. Like, I don't know what to say or do in these situations. And obviously, like, that's not, I would not class that specific thing as harassment. The laughing or the making slick comments, I'm just like, whatever, like, you want to be like kind of an asshole, whatever, you're an asshole. I would say the Ni-Hao thing is harassment. He literally wouldn't leave until I said it back to him, and it was really weird and uncomfortable. But the number one thing that really bothered me was, this is like a whole thing. I know it's already like, we're at 20 minutes. It doesn't fucking matter, because this story is going to take another like 20 minutes because it was really bad, like, genuinely. So the thing I have the most issue with was the fact that some dude came up to my table. For context, and it comes up later, he was wearing an all white suit and a t-shirt that said BMX, and he started talking to my table neighbor in a very weird way, like almost overly, like, just really, like, how do I put it, too into everything, to the point that it was almost like, you're being really kind of pushy about everything in a way that is making people uncomfortable. And it's like, I get that you're excited, you're at the convention, whatever, but it's like, you're like, you have to be like a grown man, and you're kind of shaking down this artist, trying to get every single piece of information about her personal life and her comics and how it's relevant to her comics, whatever, like, out of her, when she's just sitting there like, yeah, it's like a book about like eggs and recipes, and like, oh yeah, this is a book about my sister like joining a cult for a while, like, literally just very personal stuff. And he kept just like going in, and I was just like, that's really weird, that shouldn't be happening. And then he went to another person who was standing in front of my, you know, table neighbor, who was also wearing a white suit, and like, both of us thought they were together, like, whether they were like a couple or they were just really good friends and they were wearing matching outfits. So we're like, okay, whatever. And he's like, hey man, you have to take a picture of us, like, right now, like, to her. And she was like, okay, like, give me your phone, I don't mind taking a picture, it's fine. So she takes the picture, and then he's like, as a thank you for taking like the picture, I'm gonna buy one of your books. But like, he ended up like looking at all of my books instead of hers for some convoluted reason, acting like, once again, we're the same table and the same artist and the same person. Because then he started talking to me as if I was the one who took the picture, which I wasn't. And I was like, okay, what? And he started flipping through my books and essentially, sorry, this is the thing that really bothered me, started saying a bunch of homophobic shit. Like, he literally was like, opened a book and was like, like, this isn't for me, like, ugh. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, why are you even here? He's like, you know, like, I love, like, Elton John and, like, Queen. Like, I love, like, gay artists, you know, like, gay rights, but, like, I don't really like this. I think this isn't. And I was like, why the fuck are you, like, why are you at my table acting like me and my table neighbor are the same when we look completely different? I didn't take the picture for you, she did. And then why are you, like, rifling through all my books that are very clearly, like, lesbian books made by a lesbian, and like being like, oh, this is disgusting, like, and he's like, oh, you like flowers? Because like I do have like a book called Butches in Bloom. And I was like, yeah, I like, yes I do, like, what do you want me to say? It's like, oh, like, you should keep up with the flowers, like, so much detail, like, yeah, you don't have to draw people like this. And I'm like sitting there like, could you leave? Like, you're so creepy. And like, I literally got to the point where he kept going in so intensely and so hard that I stood up and left. I like stood up and took like a lap around and waited until he wasn't at my table, and then I sat back down and was like, what the fuck just happened? And the part 2 of this is I did tell con staff, because I was like, you know what, I've had things happen like this before when I was even younger, and I didn't know what to do, and I just kind of let it go, and I was like, oh, it's fine, whatever, like, he was just being weird. It's like, but no, because the thing is, I did see him going around to other people's tables being equally as weird to other people. So I was like, he's harassing everybody at this convention, but especially coming over and gay bashing me, essentially. And it's making me really uncomfortable that it happened. And, you know, like, it shouldn't have happened in general. Like, it's wrong. So I told the TCAF staff, and they're like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll find somebody. Because, like, they're volunteers, and I guess they don't have protocols for harassment, even though, in my opinion, they should, which I'll talk about more later. So they go through the whole circus of finding the library staff to try to ban the guy, and they promised me, oh, we're gonna, you know, escort him outside because he's clearly being inappropriate with the guests. Like, this is not okay. Like, you shouldn't have to deal with this. And I was like, okay, great, thanks. Like awesome. Like, I really don't want to see this guy again because that was completely inappropriate. And then like 30 minutes before the convention ends, we look downstairs, and somebody who wasn't my table neighbor but was like the person next to my table at the like next table over was like, hey, so isn't that the guy who harassed you? Like, didn't they say they're gonna kick him out? And I look down and he's right there, like on the second floor. And I'm just like, that shouldn't be happening. Like, that's not right. And I'm trying to flag down staff to be like, hey, what happened? Because like, he's not supposed to be in here because he's like fucking weird. Like, there's a lot going on. And after that, like, I kept having to essentially run around the building trying to find staff to help me, and nobody helped me. And then the summation of all this was, I went down to the library circulation desk and was like, hey, like, security, like, could you please point me in the direction of the person who's in charge of, A, the convention in general, because I know he's here, and then B, the library. So it was a whole wild goose chase trying to get these people together. And essentially I ended up, this makes me so angry, and it makes me not want to say it because it makes me think I'm going to get banned from TCAF for speaking out. But at the same time, I shouldn't care about that, because the thing is, this is how the festival treats harassment and treats their Asian guests, their guests of color, you know, your trans guests, your lesbian guests, like, who you apparently care about so much because we make the festival diverse for you. Then you should do something. So I go and find the guy, his name's Miles, he's the coordinator, and I was like, so this happened to me. Do you know what's going on and why the guy is still here? And he was like, I had no idea that was even happening. And I was like, I feel like that's a big part of the problem, because if you're the organizer, you don't know what's going on in your own convention. What are you doing? And then he proceeded to nervously laugh the entire time, like he was being put upon and I was inconveniencing him by telling him what happened to me. And it made me really uncomfortable because it seemed like he was making it more about his own discomfort than me being harassed. And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry. Like, you know, everybody here is like mall cop security. Like, they're really bad. They don't know what they're doing. And like, you know, like, I'm not the head of the library, so I can't control what happens. And I'm like, you're making all these excuses about why it's not your fault that there's a creepy person running around your convention, but you're not doing anything about it. And you're essentially laughing in my face because you're uncomfortable and you care more about your discomfort than my actual physical safety. So that happened. And then I continued to find the library staff, and they were like, I'm going to tell you what, like, what happened was we were going to remove him, but then we didn't, because we didn't want him like running up and trying to like fight you. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, that makes sense. But separately, like, several people who I talked to about this at the convention and then even after the convention were like, here's the thing. how is he gonna fight you if he's not in the building? Like, how is he gonna, like, beat the fuck out of you or, like, yell at you or whatever if he's not in the building to even see you go in or out, and he's not in the building to, like, harass, you know, anybody else? And I was like, that's a really good point. Like, I feel like, not for nothing, like, if this convention was literally anywhere else in America, I would, like, especially New York, like, for the most part, my experience is they'd kick that guy out like they said they would, and it would just be done. Like, it would be over with. But instead, we let this man run around and be weird to other people at the convention. Like, I don't understand that. So, like, I literally, the last thing I said to Miles at TCAF was, like, don't let this happen again, because you can't let your exhibitors get harassed like this. Like, you can't. Like, you just shouldn't do it. Like, just, that's it. And we're surrounded by security, and you want to insult the security and act like it's their fault, like they're mall cops. It's like, no, they're, like, maybe, I don't know the level of security you have, or, like, how these people are in their everyday lives or their jobs, but, like, not for nothing, but, like, they're all people of color. Why are we sitting here blaming, like, I don't know, the staff of color for, like, extreme incompetence when it's, like, every single person I talked to on the staff about this issue was, like, a white person. Or at least person in power, at least, because other people who are just volunteers who are people of color were like, I'm really sorry this happened, let us do something, and then nothing happened. So, like, my bottom line is, like, I'm just sick of getting harassed all the time, not just at conventions, but, like, fun fact, after I took the 12-hour train ride, which is the train ride back, which was for some reason less time than the first, you know, round of train ride when I first arrived, I got harassed at the train station because my train, there was, like, 30-minute window of, like, where the train would drop you off to when the connection train would come, and normally it's right across the track and you can just get on. I'm going to try to boil this down a lot because it was like a whole 30-minute interaction that was actually kind of very scary now that I think of it, where like two guys objectively, and this sounds like a joke, but I'm serious, these two guys who were both respectively very high and very drunk started trying to fight over me. And started trying to, like, get me to smoke with them and, like, do all this stuff with them. And, like, it escalated to the point where some dude, like, physically, like, tried to touch me and then was, like, trying to, like, kiss my hand and do all this crazy shit. It was just, like, really weird and uncomfortable. And I was just sitting there, like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? Like, I understand it's late at night at a train station, but, like, damn, like, let me put it this way. I have not been harassed by men in a very long time in that way. I've been harassed for being an ugly woman. I've been harassed for being a little boy, but I have not been harassed as like, oh, like, you're definitely gonna fuck me, so like, we just have to get to that point so you can like get on the train with me and we can like do whatever. I'm like, ew, like, get the fuck away from me. Like, why is this happening? I'm literally sitting in the smallest corner I can find on my phone pretending to be busy. And they started fighting each other just in general, like verbally. And then they looked over to me and tried to start like both hitting on me at the same time. And I was just like, oh, like, this is really unsafe, honestly, because I sat in, you know, visible position of the cameras. So like, if God forbid anything happened, anything more happened, you know, they'd have it on film. But at the same time, I was like, shit. And then on top of that, I don't know. There was a lot going on. It was really bad, honestly. It was, like, honestly, like, very scary. And I just hated it. And, like, these men tried to... This sounds, like, so, like, crazy and, like, random and, like, not real. But the conductor of the night train, the train arrived early but wasn't leaving. And I went up to the conductor and was like, hey, can I, like, get some help? Because these two guys are harassing me. And he sat me in the empty car where the conductors sit. And there's, like, the metal bar across the door so you can't get in. And this is, like, so, like, actually kind of scary. Like, I don't like it. The two guys tried to literally get through the door to get to me. Literally tried to, like, pry the door open, like, at different times and get in to try to be like, hey, what's up? And I was like, oh, like, you actually need to stop. Like, I get that you're definitely, like, not sober right now and, like, doing whatever and, like, not for nothing, but, like, both of these guys were, like, men of color. So, like, obviously, like, it's not better if it's a man of color or a white guy harassing you, but it's like, I don't want to get either of you in trouble to the point that like that situation escalates and the police get involved, because it's not necessary. But like, or maybe it kind of was, but I don't like getting police involved in general for obvious reasons. And also, like, one of the guys was black, and I was like, I don't want to get him killed for when he's being a jackass. You know, he's just being drunk. He doesn't deserve to get executed or like put in prison. So like, I don't know, like, I didn't want to involve any authority, essentially, because I was like, this is not this is not how I wanted to spend the last 20 minutes of my 14 total hour commute today. Like, I just wanted to, because I had to go from Toronto to New York, New York to New Jersey, and then a place in New Jersey to my house, which is in New Jersey, but it was like, it's like a whole connecting train ride. It's really annoying. So I was just like, can I just get home? Like, I'm not trying to like get involved with either of these guys. I'm not trying to deal with either of these guys. They're both being honestly very scary to me. And like, once again, like, what am I going to do? Like, call the cops and get all of us arrested? Like, this is not a solution. So I'm just glad the conductor guy was there. But at the same time, I was like, why I don't talk about it a whole lot. Sometimes I bring it up, but genuinely I get harassed maybe every day of my life, if not every other day. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but I am so serious lately, especially because people have left their houses after the pandemic and become even more homophobic, transphobic, and racist. Like, it all is falling on me in a very specific way. Not like it hasn't been falling on other people, you know, but like it's been in my life in a very specific way, and it feels very dangerous and scary. And I don't like it, and nobody takes me seriously because it's like, oh, you're like masculine. You can clearly handle it. Like, look how you dress. You want to be a boy, then act like a boy. And I'm like, I just don't even know what to say to that, because I'm like, it's so unnerving and disturbing, honestly, to get followed around places. You know, people see my name and they're like, oh, you're like a Chinese spy. Like, oh, you're this disgusting thing that I have to get rid of because you're like the problem with American society. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, fucking Jesus fucking God. Like, I just wanted to wait for the train. I just wanted to go to a convention and have fun and sell my books and meet other people. And then I felt really weirdly guilty because ever after that dude started ni-haoing me and trying to force me to speak Mandarin or Cantonese, I disengaged the entire rest of the convention. Like, if you weren't my table mate, I wasn't talking to you. And like, the people around me seemed really cool. I felt bad once again because like they didn't do anything to me, but like I just felt like I didn't want to talk to anybody after that. Like, people would come up to my table and I like, normally I'd be like, hi, what's up? Like, I was literally like nothing, because I felt like I can't say anything to people without them trying to kick my ass. And it's really bad. Like, I just want to be able to sit there and like live my life. And then if anything does go wrong, I want to be able to talk to the people in charge and get some backup or help or anything other than some white man laughing in my face because he's uncomfortable. That's not fair to me. It's not fair to anybody else tabling at the convention. And the thing is, I'm not that special. So I have a feeling if that happened to me, that happened to a bunch of other people with different interactions, you know, with similar people who are just coming in and saying whatever and not really part of the comic scene. So they don't really know what's going, you know, on. Like, they're not there to like pick up zines and look at cute art. They're there to like kind of antagonize people or like be like, what's this? Why did you do this? Like, what is going on? This isn't Marvel or DC. Like, this isn't real comics, like shit like that. And it's just like, it's such a shame. I'm going to VanCAF next week, which is the Vancouver Comics Festival. I really hope it goes well. I really hope it's not like this. Like, really, really, like, I'm genuinely, like, kind of scared now. I hate to say that, because it's like, this sounds horrible. I know it's normal to do it, maybe. It's like, I'm scared to go places now. That train thing was actually really bad. They were doing a lot of weird things around me that I didn't like, and I felt like I was actually going to get, like, sexually assaulted at the train station. It, like, I would say sexual harassment occurred. It obviously doesn't count, or maybe, I don't know. I don't think it counts as sexual assault, but that man literally, like, started kissing up my arm and then wouldn't let go. And I was just like, please leave me alone. Like, please leave me alone. And, like, the way I got approached was also really weird, because he kept being like, oh, like, do you speak a little Spanish? Like, I'm Spanish. Like, I need to get help with something. Like, could you help me? And I was like, whatever, sure, I don't care. Like, I know a little bit of Spanish, enough that if you need help with the ticket machine, which has happened before, like, a lot of, I don't know, Spanish guys are like, hey, like, do you know which thing? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's this and this. Where are you going? Here you go, bye. Like, you know, just basic common courtesy stuff. And, like, I feel like I can't even do that anymore, because some dude's gonna start fucking, like, trying to kiss me, and I'm gonna be like, like, I can't do this. Like, it's too much. Like, it really freaks me out. And, like, I feel like I hold it in a lot of the time because, like, once again, I talk about getting assaulted all the time. Like, I got sexually assaulted by a feminine woman at Henrietta Hudson. I told one of the owners of the bar, and she literally tried to, like, talk me out of talking about it, and then was like, okay, but, like, you came on the wrong night. Like, you should come on trivia night. It's just because you didn't come on trivia night that people are sexually assaulting you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're really weird for that. And then she got angry at me for not being forgiving of the fact that somebody assaulted me. And then she stormed back into the bar. And I was like, I really hope everybody's careful here, because, like, not for nothing, on the same night, I saw an Asian woman who apparently had, like, a private birthday party there look completely, like, blackout drunk, and she tried to walk out into the street, and she was, like, stumbling. She was wearing heels. She didn't know what was going on from what I could tell. And so they almost, like, the bar staff saw her and, like, almost let her walk out into the street in the middle of New York like nothing. And it's like, that is so dangerous and scary. And the fact that she's the birthday girl and you kind of know her, and then, like, she's really not in it. Like, she was blackout. It was really bad. And she's like, I'm just trying to go out. And I'm like, okay, like, do you have a car? Do you have friends? Like, what's going on? Like, do you need help? Like, what is happening? And she couldn't even respond. She couldn't keep her eyes open. And nobody did anything. Like, not to be, like, a fucking Republican and be like, New York is the most dangerous place. Like, it's not. But the thing is, I don't care if you're in New York or you're in the middle of fucking New Jersey, Minnesota, whatever. Like, a random place. Like, you should not be running around blackout drunk without any friends helping you on your birthday. Like, it just, people don't give a fuck. And then the second, especially in, like, liberal, honestly, like, I was gonna say, like, leftist, because everyone wants to be like, oh no, like, I'm really radical and all this stuff. It's like, no, you're literally, like, it's very, like, rainbow capitalism type thing, except you're pretending to be radical by being like, I love Marsha P. Johnson. And it's like, no, you don't, bitch. Literally, real life Marsha P. Johnson could walk into this bar right now and you'd kick her out for being homeless. Like, like, it really frustrates me, like, the hypocrisy. So it's almost like, I just wish that people would, like, walk the fucking walk when they talk the fucking talk, and have, like, every single diverse person on the front of their banner or the front of their, like, website. And then when it comes to protecting the diversity, like, you do nothing. You laugh in their face. You're like, oh, that's uncomfortable for me. Like, haha, don't be mad. And I'm like, how can you be this way? And then I was at the after party because I was like, I want to get a beer or whatever. 2 people I know said they would be there, and then they ended up ditching the after party, which, like, that's fair. And he got up on stage and everybody clapped for him. And he's like, wow, yeah, it's my last year as an organizer. And I just wanted to thank all of you for, like, such a wonderful con. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, bitch, of course you had a wonderful con. It's like a room of white people with, like, maybe 5 people of color. And you're all like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, because nobody fucking harassed you at your table. And also, not for nothing, the convention was full of white queer people. Full of it. Brimming full of white queer people. Whether they were guests or artists. And I'm sure if something happened to them, they would have automatically been defended. And that guy would have been out of there. But since it's me, I know what I look like. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, I could get harassed forever and a day. And it's like, oh, like, I'm glad that guy was actually putting you in your fucking place. Because you look how you look. And you're selling books about, you know, dykes. And you're here and you're not selling fucking Sailor Moon fan art. And, like, I don't know, like, jerking everybody off like everybody else is. Like, it's really, I know it's like the politics of being nice in Canada, like, definitely. And I've noticed, honestly, like, from the 5 seconds I've been in Canada, the 2 times, especially in Ontario, whatever, like, it's very much be nice and polite, but overly nice and polite to the point that it inconveniences others, and then don't be real to anybody except under your breath where people can hear. And then the second somebody goes, oh, like, what did you say? Like, oh, on the nose? Like, what does that mean? They'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Like, your artwork is beautiful. I love the details. Bye. Like, grow up challenge. Grow up and talk out of fucking one side of your mouth. Not both sides. Okay? And then both sides, it's somebody, one person's hearing one thing, other person's hearing the other thing, and whoever benefits you, you're going to side with. Fucking Canadians. Like, I just love somebody from fucking New Jersey. Like, I don't know. I know it's just like a culture shock kind of thing and a difference, but it's like, once again, like, it's disgusting to me that, you know, you wouldn't defend somebody at your own convention. And then all these things are happening to me at different cons and art marts and whatever. And it's like nothing. And everything's status quo. And the thing is, I'm sure this has happened to other people before. Like, literally the only consolation I got was from this person of color who was also helping to run the convention. She was at the after party. She was taking pictures. She was really nice. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry that happened. All I got from her was a drink ticket. And she was like, here, take this drink ticket. I'm really sorry. Like, here, go get shit-faced. Like, enjoy. Like, haha. Like, get over it, please. I don't want to hear it. And I was like, okay, thanks, dude. Thank you. That really helps. Like, that drink ticket is really going to save me. This is like not, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna fuck off. I got really drunk at that party, but the thing is, I'm not as drunk as most people think I am. I never get blackout drunk in public. It's really not my thing. But there was a point where I got really angry because all the little white comic artists were putting their empty cups on a table when there was like a trash can in the room and just leaving them there for staff. Just leaving all their shit around everywhere on every single flat surface because they didn't bother finding a trash can. Because it's their day and they're having fun. Meanwhile, the bartender is behind the bar. He's like an older looking dude. He's serving everybody. He's being really nice, but he looks so tired. And you're like, you're just taking all of your drinks and just putting your shit everywhere. And like, I kid you not, on my third drink, I started going around picking up everybody's cups and putting them in the trash. And I went up to the bartender and I gave him an extra tip and I said, thank you so much for helping us at this, event. I really appreciate you. Fuck all of these people leaving their mess for you. It's not fair. I'm from New Jersey, and in New Jersey, we fucking respect working people. Like, I don't know why I got so, like, caught up in that, like, the cup thing. But I was just like, fuck these people. Like, I hate them. Like, it really bothered me because those are the same people who will sit there and be like, wow, like, up the working class, like, wow, like, we really care about, like, unionizing and organizing, and we care about, like, the lower class people. And it's like, meanwhile, your parents are fucking rich and financing your comics empire that's entirely built off of you stealing your style from Korean and Japanese aesthetics and artists. And you want to be like, no, I support people of color. Oh, I support queer people. Oh, I support working class people. And I'm like, you won't even throw out your fucking garbage. You're like a little baby. Somebody who is being paid not enough is throwing out your garbage for you while you sit there and like compliment yourselves and pat yourselves on the back about how progressive you are and how like cool the Queer Art Zine Fest was. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, Canada is truly the nation of pissing on somebody's leg and telling them it's raining and being like, yeah, like, we all collectively agree that, like, it's like rain. We love Canada. Like, we're just the nicest people. Fuck Americans. They don't know anything. Like, they're so rude and terrible. Like, they've got the worst government ever. And I'm like, I agree with you on that one, but also, like, don't act like you're better. Don't act like you're better. Don't do that, because that gives me problems. Like, literally, like, once again, if I was at a convention in New Jersey or New York and I told an organizer, like, hey, this guy is giving me trouble, it's really bad, that guy would be out of there in 5 seconds. And he'd get a big fuck you out the door. And it would be over with. Like, it would be done. Like, not that I can say anything, because I told you about what happened at Henrietta Hudson. That girl literally grabbed me and started, like, forcing me to, like, she started like grinding on my ass in front of everyone, and it was really bad because I wasn't like, haha. I was like, oh my god. Like, also, I'm clearly here trying to like flirt with somebody else. Like, why are you on me right now? Oh yeah, probably because you're pissed drunk, but like, I don't really fucking care. I'm really tired of feminine women trying to like do whatever the fuck they want to me and acting like it's funny and that I asked for it because I look like this. I mean, same with the con thing. Oh, I look like this. Oh, you're asking for controversy. I'm sitting here selling books about butch lesbians and relationships, and it's so incredibly, I admit it, it's boring. It's very pedestrian. It's really not that impressive in comparison to whatever fucking zombie apocalypse polycule thing is going 5 tables down the road. Like, why don't you go bother them about that? But no, I'm like an easy target because like we hate Asian people. Even though the funny thing is, in Ontario, I saw so many Asian people, more Asian people than I've seen in my life, honestly. So it was almost like, just because you're in a place and in a position to say whatever you want in this moment to the Asian person sitting in front of you doesn't mean you should. And I'm supposed to sit there and like, I felt like I was being expressly polite because I didn't want to get kicked out of the festival for yelling. Because if I was in New Jersey, that would not have slid. I would have been like, hey, get away from my table. You're not going to buy anything. You're going to sit here and be fucking rude to me. Get away from my table. Bye. Like, I don't know. It was just a really weird, like, double bind situation that I didn't like being in. And then getting home after that and dealing with it and, like, getting harassed actively by 2 random men who are literally in my physical space. Like, it didn't feel good. Like, I don't feel good right now, I admit. And, like, not for nothing, reporting what happened at the festival and then reporting what happened to the train conductor gives me so much bad anxiety and, like, genuinely, like, this, I know it's a dramatic way to put it, but like actual like PTSD to when like I've been raped before. Like, literally, like, I have been raped before. I've gone to the police about it because I had to. I was like a minor. I've gone to, you know, festival organizers, owners of venues, whatever else, and told them about it, and they've done nothing. They've literally laughed in my face once again and been like, oh, like, well, you're too ugly to get raped. Who would want to fuck you? Like, and I'm just sitting there like, I really need help, and they don't do anything. And this was just another incidence of that, and it really felt terrible to even say anything, because it felt like it was completely not worth it. And I mentioned it to my table mate, and she was like, no, like, but you aren't even doing work, like they're coming up to you. And I'm like, no, I had to find them. And then I had to tell them what happened, and then I had to sit there and hope they believed me, and apparently they did, but they're not doing anything about it. And the only thing they can do is ban that man from the library, but like, he was allowed to just run around and harass other people. Like, no. And then at one point, the fucking organizer tried to be like, oh, well, you know, there's plenty of like mentally ill homeless people around the area, like you know, like they're just like that. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but also I can guarantee you, like, obviously you'd never know who is like homeless or who's like, you know, like having a mental episode or whatever. But it's like, I feel like I've seen enough people who have been having episodes to know, educated guess, that this man was not having an episode. He was literally just being an asshole. Like, he was just being a weird racist asshole because he could be. And that's it. Like, that's what it comes down to. So, all that to say, I don't really want to go to conventions anymore. I hate it because I feel like it's a good thing for art business, and if you want to be a real artist and have a career, like, yeah, go to a convention and like get your stuff out there and meet people and whatever else. But like, this all just makes me not want to put myself out there anymore, which is why I'm not on the internet anymore in a lot of ways. Like, I'm literally just avoiding the internet, except for now I'm back on YouTube apparently, which is funny. Side note, shout out to that one person I saw at TCAF who was like, I recognize you from YouTube, haha, your long for me video. And I screamed. So thank you for watching my videos. I know you said you haven't for a while, but I don't care. Thanks for doing it in general, I guess. I work kind of hard on these, but even though I guess not really, I don't know. So shout out to that person. And just me not being on the internet, I've been trying to do a lot of more real life stuff going on, like more real life art, more real life, I don't want to call it activism, because I feel like that's a very serious type of work that I don't want to take away from. But I don't know, I haven't posted about a lot of things going on in the world. I'm going to stop being vague in 5 seconds. I don't know why I'm like being stupid about this, but essentially I haven't posted anything about what's happening in Palestine and what has been happening, because A, I have not been on Instagram or social media, and then B, I firmly believe that disseminating information through social media, as much as it can be good in general, like a net good, I think that posting little infographics with possibly incorrect information, and like the fact that the attention span of most people is so short that they don't even stop and read things, and they'll read half of a sentence and then they'll take that as fact, like, and then for like, just, I don't know. I don't like that the plight of people can literally become content, and it's content that is half consumed. And it's like this information is so like vital and important, but at the same time it's being distributed and consumed in such a careless way that it almost is worse than, like, not seeing it is worse than seeing it in some ways. So essentially I've been trying to do my research with like sitting on Al Jazeera and reading every day like what's going on, and then keeping up with news outlets, not the mainstream ones, about what's going on, and trying to keep up with like actual like real life footage and like live coverage from different countries, especially because America has been skewing the story the entire time. So, and I don't know, I haven't been posting or talking about it because I feel that it is more important and beneficial for the people around me and myself in regard to the information I absorb to not fuck it up with all this like random Instagram infographic stuff. Like, I think that's not helpful. I don't know. Also, another thing that I've actively been doing, which is like a whole situation, is that fun uncomfortable thing that needs to be done where you study as much information as you can possibly get, that is as accurate information as you can get, and then you start going into real life and talking to school staff and administrators, and also just regular everyday people in your life, and you go, hey, what is the story you've been learning in regards to what's happening in Palestine? Because I can guarantee you, if you've been keeping up with it with the American news outlets, you've probably not been getting the whole entire picture. And then kind of just trying to in person have that conversation and kind of shift it in a way that it makes it not about me, but makes it important to them because it's important to me, if that makes sense. Because like in a lot of ways people are tuning out because they're like, oh, it's just so sad and uncomfortable and I don't know anything, so I'm not going to know anything and it's fine. And it's like, no, like you need to know at least the basic information so that you can be informed, so the next time somebody next to you says something fucking ignorant and incorrect, you can turn around and be like, well, actually, it's more like this, and like historically, like it's been like this, and like that's not, I don't think, like whatever weird shit you're spewing about like Zionism, like is not true and should not be taken seriously, and also this is why this is being spread, and also like maybe like Judaism and Zionism aren't inherently tied. Like, I don't know, these are all things that like back in 2016 when I lived out in the Pacific Northwest, like the first activists, like genuine activists I knew who were like trying to free Palestine were Jewish students. Like Jewish students way back when, in like what, 6 or 7 years ago, like talking to people and getting called crazy and getting death threats and all this stuff happening, and they're like, no, but it's really serious, like these people essentially are living in like an open air prison, like it's not right, and like I don't know, doing BDS and everything else. So like I really respect them, honestly. Like they were really doing the fucking thing. All I can do is learn as much as I can on my own time, like whenever I can, and try to spread the information to other people to at least be like, could you just like look this up? And like you could sit there and be like cursed and be like, I'm gonna do my own research. I'm like, okay, good, possibly use these sources because they're really solid sources and it's not just random person from MSNBC saying whatever the fuck they're being paid to say. Like, I don't know, I have a lot of feelings. All that to say, thanks for listening to this video. It was very long, but I felt like I couldn't cut it short. If you get harassed, understand that like I encourage you to try to get help. I know that's very hypocritical coming from me because, you know, I reported getting harassed and people do nothing, but like I just think that trying and at least getting support from friends or other people around you like is hypothetically helpful. I mean, at this point I'm just kind of alone and dealing with it, but I think it's so necessary. And like I understand that like I have a separate video on this that I'm gonna make, but it's very upsetting, so I haven't made it yet. The whole situation with the Me Too movement is very much like a white woman's movement. It's very clear from the fact that like many women of color tried to come forth and talk about their abuse at the hands of either white men or like white women and got completely shot down and like ostracized for it. Like that's very upsetting and disgusting, but like I don't know, just know that like I get it. Like whatever situation you've been in, like I haven't literally experienced it like fully, obviously, because it's your experience, but just understand, I get it's difficult. Like it's so hard to like even talk about like and acknowledge, you know, it's upsetting, like, and then you feel crazy all the time like I do, and then you don't want to actually live your life because you're just worried somebody's gonna like fucking try to get on top of you or yell at you or like be awful to you, and nobody's gonna do anything about it because historically nobody has. Like it's upsetting, but I don't know, don't be afraid to reach out for support if you feel comfortable doing it, and even if you don't, like don't be hard on yourself. It's nothing you did. People are just fucking freaks for no reason. I think that's about all I have to say. Okay, I will see you in the next video. Bye.